Do the thing you fear, and the death of fear is certain. Emerson said that. That is how chapter 7 of The Miracles of Your Mind by Dr. Joseph Murphy opens up. I was perusing through this great book. I love all of Dr. Joseph Murphy's works. This is just the cover of The Miracles of Your Mind. Are you ready to unlock your true potential? The Power of Your Subconscious Mind by Dr. Joseph Murphy is one of my favorite books, but I remember finding this and I loved it. So I'm just going to read a little bit from chapter 7, titled Overcoming Fear Through the Subconscious Mind. Emerson said, "Do the thing you fear, and the death of fear is certain." There was a time when the writer, Joseph Murphy, of this chapter was filled with unutterable fear when standing before an audience. The way I overcame it was to stand before the audience, do the thing I was afraid to do, and the death of fear was certain. When you affirm positively that you are going to master your fears and come to a definite decision in your conscious mind that you are going to overcome, you release the power of the subconscious, which flows in response to the nature of your thought. Remember, this represents our mind. Let me get my camera up here. This represents our mind. So Dr. Joseph Murphy is using the stick figure. I will talk about what Joseph Murphy's talking about. So our conscious thinking mind, we have two parts of our mind, the conscious thinking and the subconscious feeling or emotional mind. What he's saying is, if we can be conscious of what we're thinking, that and get emotionally involved with it through repetition or really taking the time to feel into the thoughts, it will then unleash the power of your subconscious mind. This is that universal mind. This is the part of your mind that just pounces out everywhere, but usually through your body, and you take action and you get results. But this is that magnetic part of your mind. This is the magnetism. This is the law of attraction, so people say. This right here, this determines the vibration you're in. So the law of vibration, that really dictates what vibe, what frequency you're going to be on. Dr. Joseph Murphy's talking about the more we can control, become aware and control, really have choice. This is where the free will really lives. Free will is in our conscious mind. Whatever we choose to think will pass down to our subconscious feeling mind, and whatever is here will go down into our body, our vibration, our frequency, our emotions. We feel them, and then we take action, and then those actions get results. All right, let's continue on here. He says, when you affirm positively in your thinking mind, that top part, you affirm positively that you're going to master your fears and come to a definite decision in your conscious mind, your thinking mind, that you are going to overcome, you release the power of the subconscious mind when you really believe it with conviction. Because just thinking about it here and there without being willing or ready to believe it, that's why repetition is key. It takes repetition to start planting that seed over and over and over. That's how we learned the language we learned. That's how we learned how to ride a bike or do any skill. We don't know how to do it at first. So when you say, I'm a positive, I'm a confident speaker, it's like, yeah, bullshit. No, I'm not. I've never spoken in front of an audience before. But by repeating it to yourself and taking that action, it strengthens that emotional muscle. You start to just believe it simply through repetition. I was just listening to, I think it was The Magic of Belief. I have the book here, but I came across one of the free audios on YouTube by Claude Bristol, The Magic of Believing, I think it's called. But it's just one of those examples that the subconscious mind, our minds, it doesn't care what we plant in it. It doesn't care what thoughts we think, true or false, good or evil, as the world would deem it. And we oftentimes use the example of Hitler. That's how he planted those seeds. He understood very strongly, maybe unconsciously, but probably consciously, how people's minds work and how easy it is to plant seeds in people's minds because it's through repetition. Billboards, rhetoric, pamphlets, having people talk about it, affirmations, mantras, chants, over and over and over and over. It didn't care what kind of person you were. It's literally called brainwashing, but we're being brainwashed all the time. And no, I'm not strong enough. And no, you're not, if we're not consciously aware. We all have that choice, but do we flip on that switch of choice? Because if we haven't, then we are just living by default, and we are allowing by default those messages from anybody to come in, whether we see it on social media, the music we listen to, the conversations, the family members and friends we surround ourselves with, the coworkers. We do have choice, but we have to make a choice to invoke that choice. We got to be aware. We got to be awake in our conscious mind as to what's going in it, because what's going in it through repetition will fall down. We must pay attention. And how do you pay attention? How do you feel? When you feel a little off, take note and make the proper adjustments in your life, whether it be boundaries, stopping doing things that you shouldn't be doing, or this just doesn't make you feel good. It's not about should or shouldn't, good or bad, light or dark, blah, blah, blah. It's what's conducive to your overall health. How are you feeling? How are you showing up in the world? Even just in your own internal world. Let's pay attention to that. When you affirm positively that you're going to master your fears and come to a definite decision in your conscious mind that you are going to overcome, you release the power to your subconscious mind, which flows in response to the nature of your thought. One of our students told me that he was invited to speak at a banquet. He said he was panic-stricken at the thought of speaking before thousands of people. He overcame the fear this way. For several nights, he sat down in an armchair for about 5 minutes and said to himself slowly, quietly, and positively, I am going to master this fear. I am overcoming it now. I speak with poise and confidence. I am relaxed and at ease. He operated a definite law of mind and overcame his fear. The subconscious mind is amenable to suggestion and controlled by suggestion. The subconscious mind is amenable to suggestion and controlled by suggestion. Our subconscious mind, this bottom part, will take whatever is planted from our conscious thinking mind. And these little antennae, if you see, that are hooked up to our conscious thinking mind, these are our 5 physical senses that are on this apparatus that we receive information. See, hear, smell, taste, touch. What are we taking in? What information, what data points are we hooking into or hooking into us? Because that's what will fill our conscious thinking mind. The thoughts that we think aren't always ours. Most of the time they're not. They're intrusive from the outside. Where did that come from? Or other people's conversations. We're not truly thinking. We're just taking in information. Mental activity does not constitute thinking. Thinking is laborious. Thinking takes energy. We don't really think. There was that famous quote from Dr. Ken McFarland that I think he was an educator from Kentucky, and he said, only 2% of people actually think. 3% of people think they think, and 95% of people would rather die than think. Wallace D. Wattles in The Science of Getting Rich, in all of his writings, says, the hardest thing in the world is to think. Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill. Not a lot of people think. Think about the last time you had to think on something. It's like, oh Lord, I want to take a nap. I don't want to think about this. Think about the state of your relationship. Think about if you want to take this job or not. Think about if you want to move or not. It's like, oh, I don't wanna. It's a lot of work. So we really don't think a lot. But just pay attention to what the conscious mind is taking in, because that's what's going to fall into the garden of your subconscious mind. All right, so he used the example of this student who overcame the fear by sitting. He said he overcame several nights. He sat in an armchair for 5 minutes and repeated to himself slowly, quietly, and positively, I am going to master this fear. I am overcoming it now. I speak with poise and confidence. I am relaxed and at ease. He operated a definite law of mind and overcame his fear. One thing for me, when we talk about autosuggestion, simply a suggestion from yourself to yourself, which we're doing all the time. We're always affirming. Our mind is always recycling or, processing thoughts and information that is contributing. It's affirming over and over and over. Every thought is an affirmation. Every thought is a prayer. How are they making you feel? One thing that I learned is that when I sit down to intentionally make a change or say an affirmation, it's not enough just to write it down 100 times. Okay, check, I got that done. Well, it's not working. I've wrote it down 100 times for the past week and nothing's happening. Okay. The main thing you got to do is exactly what Dr. Joseph Murphy is saying. He repeated to himself slowly, quietly, and positively. So just by sitting in the chair and calming down, slowing down your breath, grounding, taking the time to get into as close as an emotional state you can of neutrality or calm, and then go into the affirmation. One thing Bob Proctor taught me is to start with gratitude. He has us write 10 things, but pick one or two things. Think about, I used to think about my dog. Think about something or someone. If it's your morning cup of coffee, if it's your warm bed, if it's your sheets, if it's your favorite sweater or pair of socks, if it's your, essential oils, something that makes you feel so good. Think of a hot shower running over your body, something that really makes you feel good in that moment. Really soak it in. Oh my gosh, think of a memory. Get into an emotional state. Shift your state by whatever means gets you there. Something that truly floods your body with joy. There's a picture that you can look at to get into this emotional state, get you in. Then start repeating your affirmation, because it's not enough to just say it. It's the cocktail, as Napoleon Hill talks about, between the emotions and the thought and emotions and images from our imagination. So the thoughts are images mixed with emotion. So a strong thought image mixed with an emotion is the cocktail that'll exponentially, radically quicken your results. The subconscious mind is amenable to suggestion and controlled by suggestion. When you still your mind and relax, and thoughts of your conscious mind sink down into the subconscious through a process similar to osmosis, whereby fluids separated by porous membrane intermingle. This is what happens when we go to sleep. When we go to sleep, what happens is this shuts off. What we see, hear, smell, taste, touch. We are not consciously aware of what's going on. We shut down. So this is just wide open. But everything, when the factory shuts down, all the seeds are just going to drop. So whatever you've been carrying around in your mind all day or all week or all year or your whole life, continually get dropped down into the soil, into the garden of your subconscious mind. And once they're down here in the garden, they will bear fruit. You will see the results in your life of the seeds that you've been planting over and over, and we're not consciously planting them. Remember this. So don't beat yourself up or feel bad if the results in your life are dookie. And this is why people say, oh, did the kids ask for this? Did the kids attract this? Did the kids know how to manage their mind? No, they actually don't. We don't. That's why in therapy we talk about kids. They are programmed. They're spongy from the ages of 0 to 5 or 6 or 7, 8 even. They don't have those faculties. So they're just open little hearts. They're open little sponges. They take in whatever is around them. That's why a lot of times they look like innocent victims, because they are. Until they gain those faculties. That doesn't come until just developmentally, 8 and up, if that, 10, 11, 12, the ability to consciously think for themselves. But if the damage has already been done, meaning, nothing is irrevocable, everything is changeable. And that's what, thank God, neuroplasticity and everything's catching up to, that we can change anything. Nothing's permanent, nothing's fixed. But it can answer a lot of questions and take the blame off yourself. If you were raised from the ages of 0 to 8 in a violent home, or were abused, were violated, were taken advantage of in any way, or you just have really negative, pessimistic thoughts, you just feel bad. It's the programming. It's always a software issue that is shown out through the hardware issue. So think of software as your mind and the hardware as your body. But we can always upgrade the system. We can always upgrade the system, the OS system. And this is the beautiful thing, not like an iPhone. We don't always need to get a new phone. We only have, if our body was the phone, we don't need a new phone. We don't need a new body to upgrade. We need a new phone, right? When the operating system keeps getting bigger and bigger. I can't still have an iPhone 4 to like upgrade to the 15 point or 16 version OS system. But it's infinite. The operating system of the mind is infinite. It'll always keep upgrading. And that's my choice. I don't have to upgrade. We see people who never upgrade. So think of your mind. The expanded awareness is infinite. I can always upgrade forever and ever, and it's unlimited. My body is the hardware. It's the phone. And by changing the software, by my operating system, upgrading it, it automatically changes the hardware to contain and hold the new operating system. So if you were an iPhone, you would morph from a 4 to a 5 to a 6 to a 7 to an 8. Like it would physically change your body. And when I say body, I really mean brain, because our brain is our body. But that's what we're learning through the science and the neuroplasticity and all this kind of stuff, that the mindfulness truly can mold and shape the brain. It's like plastic. When it comes to the neurotransmitters and the pathways, we can change it in our brain through mindfulness. So the unseen always changes the seen. The unseen always comes first and then the seen. So the mind, the unseen, then the brain, the seen. Controlling it. Every single thing in this world was first a thought, was first unseen. It's the cycle. Matter and energy. Matter and energy. Matter and energy. Well, energy than matter. All right. The subconscious mind is amenable to suggestion. It's ran by suggestion. As these positive seeds or thoughts sink into the subconscious area, they grow after their kind, and you become poised, serene, and calm if we're planting those seeds of calm, positive, relaxed suggestion. All right, I'm going to end right there. I love Joseph Murphy. He has a lot of free stuff on YouTube. There's a lot of free books on YouTube, just audiobooks in the public domain. But The Power of Your Subconscious Mind was it was the first book. That's how I got introduced to him back in 2017. I feel like I was late to the game. Yeah, love it. Love it. Subconscious mind. I hope you have a wonderful week, and I will see you tomorrow.